are now tuned into Nativ Collective.
Nativ Collective is a private membership club founded by LA natives that empowers entrepreneurs, entertainers, creators, and executives by providing them resources, a voice, and a community to build with. Nativ Collective Studios provides fire marketing content and production-related services to our members to truly give them a voice. Nativ Collective Studios began with our own podcasting in LA, a podcast all about LA, and Legacy Blueprint, a business and money-based podcast. We plan to provide a host of other member-driven services and open our flagship location in the best city in the world, LA, and expand to Nativ Miami.
Nativ Collective.
Hey. It's been a minute. We've been trying to get together to talk about these auditions. So today is the day that we are going to pick E's co-host. We can just go in order of the auditions. Everyone can say a little piece about each applicant. And then at the end, we can make our decision. And first, let me just say, I think the goal for our new co-host should be just overall someone who would have chemistry with E, work well with her, and obviously produce a good show. The other side of that is you're looking for somebody who's, a team player, wants to do this, wants to kind of do this business and will help us build this brand. So let's start with Hernando. So basically, we are here today for our Nativ Collective. Okay. It is a private membership club that is designed to empower entrepreneurs, executives, influencers, entertainers, and the like by giving them resources, building a community, and also a voice. And so we also have a production arm, and we started a couple of podcasts kind of as a way to market the club, but also the idea is we're going to also produce podcasts and maybe different content for our members as well. I think he has so many positives. I love his personality. I love his energy. It's to me, the right amount of energy, not too much, not too little. The audition was great. I was laughing, you know what I mean? And we just threw a topic out there at him and he just got right on it. I mean, you can tell that he has experience doing, maybe not this exactly, but he has experience doing something in the neighborhood of this. He is an LA native. If I had to say, a downside, I don't know. I don't know, totally understand his situation and where he's located. So I don't know if logistics would be an issue in terms of him getting to any, location or anything like that. But he said he was, able to fit things into schedule with some notice. Keith Lee, he is a famous food critic influencer. He did a food tour around the U.S. and ranked LA's food number 5 behind New Orleans, Houston, Chicago, and Vegas. Do you agree? What are your thoughts?
Well, I feel like most of that's fair. I don't know about Chicago specifically, and then maybe Vegas cheats though, because they have an amalgamation of everything. It's just a huge playground, so they kind of cheat in that aspect. But I think it's a fair list.
Wait a second. Let's just talk about. First of all, you said an amalgamation. I can't even say the word. I don't even know what that word means, but that's fine. So I'm going to say I think Keith Lee. I mean, God bless him, but you can't put Chicago. No. I've been to Chicago.
Same.
Listen, deep dish pizza to me is just way too thick. I'm old. I can't have this many carbs, number one. I just can't do it. I think LA has to be one. Now, I love New Orleans. I'm going to say, I love New Orleans.
Okay,
But there's only so much butter I can eat. You know what I'm saying? There's only so much butter. And New Orleans Chinese food, New Orleans, Mexican food, it's not red beans and rice.
It's not the same.
At El Pollo Loco, right? In LA, you've got every type of food and you have the real people in the kitchen.
This is true.
Cooking this food. That is so important. In Las Vegas, they're cheaters.
They are, absolutely.
That's really all I got. I might chime in some more later, but that's where I am on Hernando.
Okay.
That's pretty much what, go ahead.
So I do appreciate first thing that I noted was he was on time. He was early. And that seemed very intentional. So that said, he had respect for individuals' time. He was able to redirect conversations and knowing when to pause. Also, giving his life experiences, he was able to provide just some advice. I was like getting advice day of the event. So that was a positive. I think his entertainment experience, as well as his social media management experience. I actually have been following him to see what he's been putting out there with respect to content.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on social media?
I mean, I probably spend way too much on social media, not really like scrolling, just creating. So on Instagram, I have, I don't know, like 26,000 followers, and TikTok, I have like 10,000. I have 2 accounts. So I have my own personal one, Coach HP Jr., which I do. It could be like motivational stuff or like my family things. And then I have a food one called Leftovers and Hangovers, where I do food reviews. I travel a lot, so I get to just go and review food since I love it so much. I'm on Twitter as well too. Facebook, LinkedIn. I mean, you name it, I'm there.
Yeah, I just think he is definitely a candidate to kind of assist in brand building. One of the most important things he seems also, because I wrote this one down, he allocated 50 minutes a day with his followers. So to me, that says he's very intentional about his time, his energy, and space. No red flags because he was willing to promote on our behalf. It's really hard to point out anything negative, red flags.
Okay, for the opinion that really matters.
I concur with most of what you both said. I feel like for me, I wouldn't call it a red flag, but like you're doing a load of whites and then something red accidentally gets stuck in there. And so now things are like a little pinkish. I would say that's the color of the flag for me as far as the availability goes. I love his free spirit because not everybody can just up and travel off to wherever you need to be at the drop of a dime. So that's pretty cool. But in regards to this, I'm just kind of like, but honestly, that's really the only pinkish flag that I would have regarding Hernando.
Yeah, so how did it feel when you guys were talking about the topic?
The conversation flowed really, really easily, really, really well. There was a good back and forth, a good volley. Most importantly for me, he laughed at things that I said.
We've talked about this. We had an issue with this last season.
This is very important. I'm not a vain individual, but I know that I'm funny. So if you're over here and you're not laughing,
you're funny. So, and I think, when the co-host laughs, right? I think that is important because I think it gives the audience permission to laugh and they would probably get it on their own, right? But I just think it's better if the co-host is leading. Yeah, just rounding out Hernando, pretty positive vibes. Okay, so let's go to applicant number 2, who is Ashley, my namesake. I love her just because of that alone. Ashley, I thought she was great. I was really excited to meet her just based off of her interview or her video that she sent in and her application. I thought she had a lot of energy as well. I love the fact that she had a podcast on her vision board. So that really resonated with me. First question. What's the best part about dating in LA?
Well, since you, Miss Ma'am,
that's where we're starting. The best part.
He put a ring on it. So
the best part is finding you a man who likes you enough to stop dating in LA. That's the best part. But it took a damn long time to get here.
So long. Oh my God. Got Plan B floating around.
The best part of LA, it's LA.
She had a lot of energy and sometimes maybe too much energy. I don't know if this would be my potential con. I mean, and I think that's something that can be tweaked. That's the job of a producer, right? Schedule and prioritizing. I don't want to steal your thunder, ShuRhonda, because I know this is, kind of your lane. So we need to, I think, feel comfortable that someone is going to at least match our effort and not blow it off and not take things seriously. And and, where we're now wasting our time and money. Not that I think that that's going to happen, but I'm just saying that's kind of the challenge for us, I think, to figure out.
Everybody has dated somebody that just get over it. It's going to happen.
But
all the crew, and I ain't never even heard of you, so that means you didn't lock it down with nobody. You wasn't even chat group worthy, so.
He's a pass around.
And how did you make it through so many of the homies without knowing? Because we talk, girls talk, so we have to know, we got nicknames for guys and stuff, but right. And I got to round 2 with you. There's something suspicious. Catfish. Or catfish.
Catfishing, yes, that's another thing.
ShuRhonda, your thoughts?
I'm going to try to keep the comparison along the same lines. So I was really disappointed in the beginning of the arrival time and not a heads up that she would be late. So that to me just says that's just disrespect to people's time. That was so huge for me. Sure. Came in with amazing energy, in my opinion, gauging the room of what the temperature of the room or space is. It didn't happen. Would she know how to read the room?
Right.
That was one, right? Expertise. I do appreciate that she did have a podcast, right? Being able to redirect the conversation, even though we were moving off, she could have moved off of the topic of dating if needed be and talking about marriage just to kind of add a little bit more pizzazz to the conversation. So I felt like the world was her oyster and she could have leveraged a little bit more of her expertise during that.
That's why they date their homeboys. That's because they can't afford the ladies no more. That's why they do it for each other, because they can't do it for us. Ladies can do it for ourselves. We can do our own now. And it's sad that we don't even have to require a first date at a nice place. It's I'm just glad I got a first date and not let's come over and kick it or let's Netflix and chill. Mm-hmm. Okay, Netflix and chill is my love language, but I'm also 10 years in, with a dude. I'm not on my let's get to know each other. I don't want to get to know you on your couch.
I like all the points you made, and I just want to make this point because I think it's important. If we think about the role that Tony filled on season 1 of the podcast, Tony was the, play-by-play person, right? Who's leading it, like you said, making the transitions and closing and doing all these things. And E is more like your color commentator. In filling those roles, can we have 2 color commentators, or do we need someone who can lead and make those transitions?
Is it something that she could kind of grasp as we go on into this project? Because talking to your girlfriends casually while you guys are having some wine or whatever is one thing, but then having an actual conversation so that people can relate and follow along is a whole different ball of wax. I feel like they were both good interviews.
I will tell you.
I don't want to be the one to choose. Let me just tell you that.
Oh, listen, we're not going to put you in a weird position. I mean, that's not necessary. But go ahead, ShuRhonda.
She can be taught that, but the amount of practice that it takes to be taught that is quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say producing season 1, E is exactly right. We all walked in there. I had never produced a show. Everything was new, right? It kind of got dropped in my lap. I mean, I was learning as I go, right? I mean, as I went, we all did. Far be it of us to say now that, listen, you got to come in somebody who's an expert. The point is, can she survive a comparison when we have somebody who doesn't have to learn? Next, we have Alan.
He was so impatient. I'm just going to say he was too impatient that I was just like,
was it impatience or was it did he think he was trying to be helpful? He's the young guy trying to teach us technology. There's a button down there. If you press it, that kind of thing.
He was impatient. He could have asked there are ways.
75.
There are ways to say things to new people. And I feel like he just didn't know any better. And that right there makes me say,
We should offer up that the call was delayed, 20, 30 minutes on our end, really on my end. Because I didn't have my computer, so we had technology problems getting in. But yeah, there was that. There was his kind of response to that.
ShuRhonda and Tony, are you off video?
Yes, but I'm recording using another phone, so that's why. So you have some video and recording. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to. phone was picking up, supposed to be picking up.
Okay.
Positive wise, because Tony and I chatted about this a little bit afterwards. Positive, he is not from LA, he's from New York. I think that gives a good contrast point. My vision has totally been to have a person native from LA, but I think that could be an interesting point.
You always got to keep putting on more stuff and work hard, or else people are gonna like forget you a bit, you know? Like in other places, I feel like it's not as much, but LA, you got to keep putting content out there. And the best way to do that is social media, because it's all just free to just post something, you know? And I would say, yeah, it's really important for you to just always be like working on stuff and putting stuff out there, because millions of other people are doing that. So you're in competition, and you want to have a lot of content to beat out the competition, you know?
He definitely wants to do this. I mean, he is very passionate. I have no doubt that he would contribute social media and all that. But yeah, my thing was he was so difficult to schedule. He couldn't show up for the in-person meeting, and then trying to set up even a Zoom call and the schedule changes. It was probably on our end, but still, you know, it was like, okay, we had the Zoom technology issue because you couldn't come to the in-person, you know. Originally, he told me he could make it, right? So something happened subsequently where he had to change and could not make it.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
If you know, the schedule was originally set, he said he could make it. We're already not being prioritized as number one. Yeah, I get that it was our fault with respect to the late start time, but just his tone of voice, he might as well have called us idiots, is what I felt like.
Wow.
I was like, I know I'm old, but man, I'm not that old. And what I'm saying is true.
And let the record reflect, he couldn't figure it out either.
So you tag Shaman and you can't even do it yourself? Ugh.
Okay, so are we finished with Alan? Does anyone have any other comments?
Yes. I've been telling you for like a week now that I was like cool on Alan. So
You always had 2 applicants and 2 applicants only.
that's it. That's all. This is it. Choose between Ashley and Hernando. That's it.
So are we safe to just eliminate Alan off the bat?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so then we are choosing between Hernando and Ashley.
I just really wonder if we could just kind of whip it into shape. One kind of comes already like turnkey, and then the other one is like, it needs like a little bit of polishing.
Here's my recommendation. Bring Ashley on as a guest. We are still grooming her. And the ultimate reason that I'm saying no to Ashley is she was so monotone and she did not redirect the conversation. You're going to be working your butt off trying to add to the conversation or reshaping the conversation.
I will say, though, I didn't notice the monotone as much. In my opinion, she was very like up here.
Up there, monotone. She never went down.
I didn't even think about it like that, but that is exactly so. Yeah, I have that. I share that same exact opinion with you. Honestly, I just think there's no way we cannot choose Hernando. Like, if I'm thinking of this, like, look, if we had investors and look, at some point we're going to try and pitch to them, I don't think I could look anybody in the eye and tell them I had Hernando in my lap and I didn't choose him, right? Like,
so when my friend Ashley approached me about doing a podcast, initially I was kind of like, what? Me? Why? But so many of you had actually told me that if I did a podcast, you'll watch it. So here we are. I started freaking out because we didn't have a name for the show initially, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to try to think of something. But after, in true LA fashion, smoking a little weed, get a little inspiration, ing in LA popped into my head immediately. I'm from Inglewood. We're doing a podcast about LA, and ing in LA was born, and now here we are, in LA and all over the place. So that's how this brainchild came to be. Thanks so much for being here, and stay tuned for so much more. I really appreciate your watching and being a part of this Native Collective project.
hey, everybody, thank you for joining. This is season 2 of Ing. So we have E returning as co-host and our amazing veteran co-host of the show. And then we also, after a long and vigorous casting process, we selected Hernando to be the co-host for the show. Yay!
I've been waiting for so long to win at something in life, and I did it. I made it.
This is your time.
Welcome to the winner's circle.
Super excited to have you. Everybody was so impressed by you and just thought you were amazing and that you would add so much to the show. And we feel really lucky to have you. So unless anyone has anything else to say, I think we can get started.
I just want to say I appreciate it. This is amazing. When I got the email, I think I had myself a little party. I threw off some little fireworks. I was like, come on now, let's go. And I do appreciate all the nice things you did say, and I'm so glad that this is being recorded. I'll probably be using it later on to pump myself up as well too. So thank you.
Listen, as you should. This is 2024. This is the world we live in. We need content to promote all of ourselves.
Yeah. All right. Everybody asks me all the time, why did I join this amazing IG podcast through Native Collective? Well, it's quite simple. We get to work and be with cool-ass people every single time. Or in the same direction that you're going, creatively, mind, just on the same journey. You want to be part of that group. So I've joined the party. We're enjoying our time here at the podcast. You got to catch us all the time because we're one big family and we're inviting you to come over.
Just a little bit of backstory. We had already started planning for a season 2 of the show when we wrapped season 1. So we have sort of a template, some ideas of some episodes that we're planning. So the theme of the show, again, just so we all remember, is really all things people are doing in and around LA. And so like the first season, we're thinking of having 3 episodes with just the host chatting about some topics that we choose. And then we're doing 8. So
I think we said 8.
I think it'll be 5 episodes with guests because again, the guests can be super helpful.
I think it would be cool to culturally, like a lot of these are like, it's just a LA thing, right? Then I really wouldn't say any of these are like just Black topics, right? These are just really LA. Everybody, every culture can experience the things that you listed. But maybe it'll be cool to think about, Aaron, let's do something Black, and Hernando, let's do something that's, tied to your culture so we can have some good conversations that y'all can feel comfortable leading.
I like that idea.
Agreed.
I think it would be an interesting topic as well too, and you guys know it more than I do. But in terms of the education, where I think it was on your show or a show talking about like the rivalries of the high schools in LA, and they're talking about Crenshaw and Dorsey and all that.
Yeah.
Like that stuff doesn't exist anymore. There's people who live in Ladera Heights who go all the way to the Valley for high school. I think that's like a big topic that would be really interesting. And how the city, in many ways, doesn't really take care of the city.
That's a good one. I think that from a sports perspective, Hernando, you definitely are in on that side of it.
I coached a little bit for 20 years.
I mean, from an athletic side, Aaron, did you hoop, Aaron?
Yeah.
Because I saw you on the video.
Basketball with Ashley way back in the day.
Hey, when I saw you walk in on one of the videos, I was like, damn, I didn't know you were that tall. You know what I'm saying? Because Ashley is tall. Yeah. And I saw you and I was like, dang, you made Ashley look like a point guard. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay.
I did play point guard. I did play some point guard.
But how would y'all feel about that? Talking about something from a, definitely from an athletics perspective. You said the rivalries, which is that's getting into that conversation. But since you both can hold a sports conversation, you know what I'm saying? Right. LA is winning.
And so it depends on what the two of you are, comfortable with. But I mean, we could have a whole season of sports, but we're not going to do that. But we could.
Like when I go back to LA, I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, I need a new car. Wait a second. I can't be driving around with this car. It's just that type of stuff as well, too. But really, it's everything that we're talking about anyway.
Did you just get a glimpse of Fernando's game? I just want to say.
He did, girl. He absolutely did.
Oh, we sit there. I love it. We're getting to know each other.
But then
Making
we
it in LA.
can
Oh.
have him for making it an LA episode. And
Yep.
look at this full circle moment. But
this was on our list. Yep.
But also, now that it's all out there, I'm thinking, because you know how much I love the capping in LA idea. I think that we should put that under the umbrella of making it in LA.
We could either add another layer to that to be really loved or really hated. But either way, it'll get us more people. Because then when you add church and religion to all that, then all of a sudden,
hey, and you gotta go there though, because I'm telling you, church in LA is like,
man,
that was like, an episode that we talked about too.
We did.
Yeah. We could do cooking in LA, which is different than like food spots in LA. Oh,
get out my kitchen.
I was around all cultures like all the time. Not to say no one else was, but like that was like how I grew up. And so like it's like a quinceañera, and then it's like a rave, and then it's like an Asian party, and then I'm in the jungle. You know, like it's all those different things. So yeah, I mean,
I love it. I think that's similar to how Aaron and I grew up as well.
Oh yeah, all over the place.
Yeah, it's like just everybody.
Where'd y'all grow up?
I'm from Inglewood. Hello.
She grew up in Inglewood. I grew up in Ladera Heights, but we went to school in Westchester and West LA.
We talked about how Waze and Google Maps are all wrong on the app, and then we could talk about how everybody has their so-called shortcuts. If you go down this street and go down another street, I think we can get an hour. I mean, we'll be really
talk about car chase culture.
Oh yeah, we can talk about LA car chases and why it only seemingly happens here.
I mean, influencing may be pretty good just because we could talk about an influencer's workflow. We could also talk about how nobody has shame anymore. They just put their freaking tripod anywhere, right? Like, you know, people putting the camera up in Target, filming them across the way, picking a vase. I think what's so great about all these topics really is that we're almost going to touch on every single topic on every single episode, because it's a great like tie-in to everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I don't think one topic ever goes away. We just keep on building it. We go in one direction, but I think it's going to be, I just looked at my calendar, pretend like there's a lot of stuff going on, but really I only plan things out like 2 weeks in advance.
I know.
He opened up Candy Crush real quick.
I'm like busy all the time, but like that far out, I have nothing on my schedule.
Yeah.
Well, I should say I feel busy all the time. I'm not that important, but so, all right, next steps is I'll get this document circulating where we can start planning out the topics we want to hit under each episode.
We also, what about Ashley Logan? Do we, any of those topics, think she would work in any of those?
My brain.
Logins?
Login, is it Logins? You're right.
Thank you.
Maybe.
I mean, we can think about it. I just wanted to throw that out there because we did make that
decision,
that comment.
Good looking out for bringing it up, because I definitely forgot about that. Thank you. Once I get the list in front of me, I'll be able to kind of like better distinguish which one I think she could fit in.
And maybe she could even just be on with you and Hernando on a no guest episode. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'm excited.
Thanks, guys. I'm excited to be on board. I appreciate it.
It started. All right. Talk to you
Thank you for your
soon.
service.
All right, y'all. I'll talk to you. All right, bye.
Have a good one.
This is my brand new, shiny out the box co-host, H from, well, kind of all over the place.
That's right.
We are back with season 2, episode 1 of your favorite local podcast, ING in LA, brought to you by Native Collective. Hope you're following on YouTube, also at Native LA on all other socials.
You are now tuned into Native Collective. Native Collective.